Okay. Oh, what is today? May 29th. It's 2:30. I got back a little later than usual on Friday. Oh, so let's have a look see here at what the market's doing. We'll just quickly go through these. Apple's too high, AMD's too high, Amazon's too high. We had bought this down here, so if anybody still has Amazon, which I don't think anybody was buying it when I was buying it, so I didn't say anything about it. But if anybody has Amazon, you can go ahead and sell it up here. I didn't acquire 100 shares of this, so I'm not going to go into selling calls on Amazon. And since I don't think anybody else was buying this when I was buying it, I then also in turn don't believe that anybody else has 100 shares of it, so I wouldn't worry about this. But Amazon's way up there, so it's time to sell it if you do have it. Google's coming down. It could be interesting to look at. There's this gap here, 363 to 350 that we could be looking for. Google might possibly be the best company in the world right now. Its earnings are incredible compared to its price. That even when it was astronomically high, what does it look on the 3 year? So yeah, even though it's astronomically high, its price to earnings ratio is very, very good right here. That it's actually a bargain, according to me, I guess. Even though it looks so high right here, it's actually a really good bargain. So if there is the opportunity to buy Google and it does drop down, even let's say like 340, so like 350, 340 could be a really good time to start buying Google, simply because they just make money. I mean, they just make money. That's it. So there could be a really good buying opportunity for Google coming up soon. We're going to talk about Meta because it's going to be time to sell calls for Meta, and we're going to talk about Microsoft because it's going to be time to start selling calls for Microsoft. So I know that Netflix, Microsoft, and Meta were the three that most of us had been buying. And so now it's going to be time to start looking at selling calls. There's this big gap fill on Microsoft, so we'll come back to that once we go through these things. I'm also going to talk about MSTR, MicroStrategy, because there's really good opportunities here to sell calls just right off the bat, to just buy 100 shares for super cheap and then sell calls and make money off of it. And then Netflix isn't really doing anything. It's just tracking sideways, not really doing anything at all. We have this gap fill here. So yeah, just look for it to get sideways while we still wait for it to recover, like truly recover, and not just give it up the way it did at 109 here. So true Netflix recovery, and finish the year strong somewhere from 125 to 150. So if you're still buying Netflix, then continue to buy it. That's good. And we're just waiting for it to recover, for the news or the sentiment to change. For we can't even really wait for its earnings to be good, because its earnings are good. So we'll just be looking for Netflix. When is that? June 16th or July 16th. So that's what we'll be looking for on Netflix, is for its next earnings call to maybe change the sentiment and have it push, or have a push prior to earnings. But for now, it's purely a buy. Like we just buy this every Friday. And nothing really for Nvidia. Let me look at the yearly here. Yeah, nothing yet for Nvidia. We did have that 165 I was looking for a while ago happened here, and so now the new number for Nvidia is going to be about 190. Anything maybe sub 200. So anything sub 200 on Nvidia is going to be a good buy now. We got that 165 look, which was a good buy, at the time when it was there. Looks like one sub 175, but I was looking for 165s and I got it, and so I was able to pick up some Nvidia, but just a very small amount, so it wasn't really much worth talking about. The new number for Nvidia is going to be anything sub 200. And Tesla was looking viable. It was looking viable, but since we were involved with Microsoft, Meta, and Netflix, I didn't want to throw this into the grouping of things to cover. So I didn't really say anything about this here. But as of right now, potentially Google. Really, we're just sitting on Netflix, and we can start selling calls on Meta and Microsoft, and start acquiring some cash out of these, and then look for what our next thing is. Meta is still technically viable, so if you're buying Meta and you're buying, where is that, Microsoft, if you're buying Microsoft and you're buying Meta, you can continue to buy this every Friday, and it's still a good buy. But because our average is so low, we can start selling calls off of it up here somewhere, and start collecting money out of it every Friday, and then taking that money and re-putting it back into Meta in the form of shares. So let's go ahead and look at those to figure out what calls we actually want to sell. So we are at 20. Oh, let me get off this weekly. That's why it looks like that. So we want to be wary of this gap fill, and we want to be looking up here somewhere. That I would say anything north of 29 is good. I just talked to my cousin, and he still has an average of 30, so he hasn't been buying every Friday. He has an average of 30, which is all of this, but he didn't. You could have bought it at any point in here and had an average of 30, so he wasn't actively buying it, which would have reduced the average and made it an easier call to sell. And so that's kind of what I'm dealing with here, is that I know he has an average of $30, which he didn't lower at all anywhere in here. So it's just something I'm going to have to work around. That I want to be wary of this gap fill here at 29.50, and I also need to sell the calls somewhere north of 30. And then if we do go for this gap fill, then we can roll those calls out to a further date. So if I look at the options, it was it that one? No. Met you. Which one did I tell him? Let me have a look. July 10th. So we could sell the July 10ths. And then let me check Meta on earnings. Earnings is going to be July 29th, so we can still participate in the earnings and see how it comes out of that, but we can sell a call prior to that it was the July 10th. So if I look at the July 10th earning, or the July 10th options here. Oh, expand. There we go. And, I need Met You again. And we look at the $30 one. We could sell this for about $1. The bid is $1.10, and the ask is $80. So you could sell the $30 call for about $1, which covers us from $30 up to $31, and you would make $100 off of every call that you sold. So if you had 1,000 shares of Met You, you would be able to sell 10 of these, which would make you $1,000 on top of the gains from $26 all the way up to $30, which would be call it $2.50, and $2.50 would be $5. That would get us to 31. So that's easier math. So if you had 1,000 shares and you moved from 26 to 30, that would net you $5,000, and then the call itself would net you another $1,000, and so you would be moving from here up and gaining $6,000 on it. And then If it closes that gap but doesn't get above 30 by July 10th, then this will expire worthless. You collect the $1,000, you don't sell your shares, and then you just sell another call beyond earnings up, however, from wherever we are, because I won't know where we are at that time. But if we're under $30, this will expire worthless, and you just collect the $1,000 and then don't actually sell your shares anywhere, and nothing happens other than you just collect the money. If by July 10th we are at $30 or above, then we'll have to roll this out, and we'll roll it to a future date. So that's the one that I had suggested selling, was the $30 strike price, July 10th, like 2 weeks before earnings, and to sell it for about $1. The Microsoft, which is going to be MSFU, I didn't have to consider any higher prices for not averaging in every Friday, because everybody at this point has an average below where we currently are, at $32. We're at $32.13, and ever since we started buying it, basically every price that's even existed is under where we are right now. So everybody should be profitable on Microsoft, simply because it's just not possible to not be profitable, because we didn't start buying until this earnings drop right here, and we have fully recovered the entire earnings drop. So anybody and everybody who is buying it is somewhere with an average in here, and we have now moved up and can start selling calls on this. So what I want to do on the Microsoft calls, oh, who's calling me? Just give me just a second.
Okay.